Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yo, what's good, original crew, man? We back. Top 3 stories that sound fake, but are 100% real. This is part 2. Part 2, everybody. We done dibble and dabble. We done boom. We done did some of these stories already. So we got a new one up for y'all today. We got a three-parter. But y'all know, it's Mr. Ballen. Some of y'all favorite reactions that we do. Some of y'all only watch our Mr. Ballen reaction. And it's cool. It's highly understandable. You know what I'm saying? You adapt to your favorite style of content. You like, hey, I want to check out that Mr. Ballen reactions. Or some people, hey, I just like to laugh and I don't even check out the Mr. Ballen. It's cool. Some people got their favorites. You like, bitch, you need to be watching everything. But it's cool. It's cool. It's understandable, right?
It is what it is.
She
No hard
crazy.
feelings.
She crazy, y'all. She crazy. Trust.
I'm not crazy. Babe, stop.
She crazy. With that being said, before we get into it, make sure you check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go, man. You want the first part, all you gotta do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's video,
knock it with a thumbs up.
We'll highly appreciate it, man. But let's go. Let's check it out. Let's see what's about. Let's see what Mr. Ballen is talking about with these 3 stories. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction, and today we're going to look at 3 stories that demonstrate that. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right channel because that's all we do, and we upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please remove all the raisins from the like button's raisin brand. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get in.
Hey, Ballen, you falling off, because that's a good thing.
But I guess if you buy Raisin Brands, you want the raisins.
Man,
so for somebody who actually likes Raisin Brands, that's actually a bad thing.
Who the fuck really like Raisin Brands?
People that buy it. Like, I don't know.
My auntie has bought Raisin Brand. I tried them. I said, ew. Them bitches
you said
stayed
what?
up there.
What'd you
my
say?
auntie.
No, what did you say?
I said, ew. They were ew. And I didn't even eat the raisin part of it. I just ate the regular cereal. I said, ew.
Ew.
Bland, no taste. It ain't for me. I need some sauce. I need something else. That joint was nasty, pure nasty, bro. But that's a good one, Mr. Ballen. Make sure y'all do that to the like button.
Subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories. From 2000 to 2013, Cornelius Mike Anderson miraculously turned his life around. Growing up in a suburb of St. Louis, Missouri, Mike was a troubled young man that seemed destined for jail time. But something changed for him in the year 2000 when he was 23 years old. Suddenly, he wanted to make the most out of his life. So he distanced himself from his old friends and he moved to a different suburb outside of St. Louis called Webster Groves. There, he started a successful construction company. He got married, divorced, married again. He had 3 kids and became the father to a stepchild. He was very active in his community, volunteering countless hours at his church, as well as becoming a youth football coach. Anyone that met Mike after the year 2000 only had wonderful things to say about him. But Mike had a big secret about his past that he was just hoping never saw the light of day. Back in 1999, when Mike was 23 years old, he robbed a Burger King outside of St. Louis at gunpoint. He was arrested in the year 2000, convicted of armed robbery, and sentenced to 13 years in prison. Shortly after his conviction, he was out on bail pending the outcome of his appeal. But when his appeal was denied in May of 2002, Mike was expecting to go back to jail. And so he asked his lawyer, what are the next steps? Because I'm out on bail. Do I go to the jail? Do they come to get me? And his lawyer said, oh no, they'll issue a warrant for your arrest. They will come to your house and they will take you to jail. So Mike got his affairs in order and he waited to go to jail. But no one ever showed up. And so days turned into weeks, turned into years, and no one ever took Mike to jail. Because it would turn out the state had made a clerical error, and they believed Mike was already behind bars when he was actually just at his home. And in July of 2013, at the end of his original 13-year sentence, they went to go release him from prison. That's when they...
I know you lying.
Bro, y'all slow as hell.
I would be so
How y'all
pissed.
gonna go to release somebody that y'all don't have an
never-
inmate number or
Nothing
inmate
for.
identification? That was stupid in itself.
I would be so...
Who?
I would be mad.
Who is... I'm saying, why would you be mad?
Because are y'all about to now come get me for me to do my...
Or is it statute of limitations? Because y'all can't charge me for something after a certain time, right?
So
Technically...
It depends on what it is and how,
Only thing that don't have a statute of limitation is murder. So other than that, everything has a statute of limitation. But I don't know
the time.
When it comes down to a conviction...
Like how that works.
Can they go back? So say it's been since 99. He did it. So that's what 14, almost 15, whatever the statute of limitation on an armed robbery. Sometimes be 10, 12, 13 years.
Okay.
There's even statute of limitation on second degree murder. I didn't even know about that in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody, they couldn't be charged with the murder.
Yeah.
In Tennessee, where we are.
Yeah.
Because it was second degree murder.
Yeah.
And they was like the statute of limitations is up on that. I said. What? I forgot what case it was. It was a while ago.
But, okay, well, let me not say I'd be mad. Because in my head, I'm thinking like, dang, are y'all about to make him do his time now?
I was just trying
about to realize he's, not actually been in prison these 13 years.
I was trying to understand from what point you were saying you were like, I'd be mad. I'm like, who are you talking about? Is the victim or the person who was robbed or like the government system? I'm
telling you.
Or I'm saying
I'm saying I would be mad if they're about to now go arrest him and now if I was Mike. Yeah, but I don't know what they're gonna do. Yeah. So I'm jumping the gun.
Right.
Of his original 13-year sentence, they went to go release him from prison. That's when they realized he had never been incarcerated. So 8 U.S. Marshals immediately went to his house and they arrested him and they brought him to jail. And there was this huge public outcry that it was totally unjust that you're arresting him now because it's the state's fault that they did not bring him to jail. It's not Mike's fault. And Mike used that opportunity to become a totally changed man. And so after a number of appeals and this very public petition of people trying to get Mike out of jail, a judge finally took a closer look at Mike's case. And it would take this judge only 10 minutes to come to the conclusion that Mike was in fact a changed man and should not have to serve the rest of his sentence. And so although Mike was held for 9 months after being rearrested, he was released and today he is a free man.
Okay.
See, that's still a better story.
That's still a better story.
And you know sometimes, I'll say this, sometimes after doing something, because you don't know the real initial intention or reason why he did what he did. And obviously nobody was harmed in this situation, right? So you never know what someone is going through. But through the fact of I almost went to jail and I could have, okay, let me get my shit together. Let me act right. Let me get my, because sometimes if he had went in and did those 15 years, people become institutionalized. And then they come in with a certain mindset. So when they're released, they be a worse version of themselves. Yeah. But due to the fact that he like, okay, I got a lucky break. So he became a better person. Yeah. After all, sometimes incarceration ain't the key. You know what I'm saying? But the fear of incarceration is the key. But because no, go.
I was about to say I feel like it depends on the crime, but
it depends on the crime and it depends on the individual.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I get what you said. No, I get what you're saying, like, which is
you
true.
out here like you a
nah.
You need to be.
That's facts.
You don't need to be in society.
That's facts. Like I'm agreeing with you on that. But it's in certain cases. Yeah. I think sometimes counseling is needed. Instead of like I think the justice system is dealt wrong, and that's coming from people. Like my mom worked, you know, where she worked at, you know what I'm saying? Just coming back home and she telling me stuff or she asking me questions regarding stuff. Like sometimes from my viewpoint of it, because like everybody in my family worked in law and criminals before except for me. I'm the only one. I said I ain't doing it. but everybody else has. And on my mom, like it's not everybody, but you know what I'm saying. It's either they work there or they been in, or they been in. Yeah. So my viewpoint of it, but I don't think like you know what I'm saying. Like I don't think they do it right. You know, if for the lack of words, I don't think like the correctional system and how it's operated is like rehabilitation. Because at the end of the day, you'll have people who, hey, I'm going to do 3 years, and they're tormented in there for 3 years for like theft or something, being locked up with people who's in there for murder who's never coming out. And so how can you really like rehabilitate someone who's in there for 3 years and just like, hey, we need some counseling and this, when they being housed and being around murderers. So those are two totally different mindsets. I think you got to, you get what I'm saying? But I know we don't have, as a country, we don't have the finances to really put that money behind doing what we actually need to do. So they just lock them up. And that's the reason why some who go in and do 3 to 5 years come out and sometimes be worse than the way they were, or some of them be scarred. They done went through things, you know? Because I think it just, once they get their sentence, it's like, all right, we'll see when you get out.
I mean,
now don't get it twisted. Some actually go through rehabilitation. They go through therapy and they go through counseling to get right and go get an education. Not saying all, but I'm just saying for the most part, from what I've heard and seen. What you gonna speak on? No. You know some people who've been incarcerated. I don't know about if you know anybody who worked in the correctional system. Do you know anyone?
Not off the top of my head.
But do you feel as though the people you have known that have been incarcerated, do you think it has worked? It has helped them
for
better?
Some of them, but some of them for a period of time they had their head on straight, but then they get caught back up and stuff. So I feel like it goes back to you said, it depends on the individual.
The Tromp family were by all accounts a normal, hard-working household. 51-year-old Mark Tromp and his wife, 53-year-old Kobe Tromp, had established a successful red currant farm and earth-moving business at their property in Sylvan, which is just outside of Melbourne. Their 3 adult children, which were 29-year-old Rihanna, 25-year-old Mitchell, and 22-year-old Ella, all lived and worked with them at the farm. But their seemingly ordinary lives would change forever on Monday, August 29th, 2016. That day, without any warning, the family dumped their passports, credit cards, and cell phones on the kitchen table and ran out the front door, leaving it unlocked. They hopped into Ella's car and drove north. 30 kilometers into their journey, and it was discovered that the son, Mitchell, still had his phone. And so the others yelled at him to throw it out the window. And so he did. He chucked his phone out the window. The family drove all day and night until they reached a motel in the New South Wales town of Bathurst, 800 kilometers away to the west of Sydney. The following morning, Mitchell decided he did not want to be a part of whatever it was they were doing, and so he abandoned his family and began heading home. The remaining 4 family members did not go after Mitchell. Instead, they just piled back in the car and drove east to a popular tourist destination called the Genelin Caves. It was there that the 2 daughters, Rihanna and Ella, decided that they also did not want to be a part of whatever it was they were doing, and so they snuck away from their parents and stole a car and began heading home. The parents, after realizing their daughters had now left, did nothing. They did not go after them. The 2 sisters drove south to the town of Goulburn, where they called the police to report their parents missing. The story made its way into the media, where the family was initially ridiculed for getting lost in the first place and getting completely separated in an area they should know well. This is their country. It's not a remote area. They were near big established towns the entire time. It just didn't make sense. But when police went to the Tromp family farm back in Sylvan and they discovered the front door was unlocked, there were credit cards, passports, and phones on the table, suddenly it seemed like there was a lot more to this case than met the eye. And so as this strangeness came into focus in the media, people stopped ridiculing the family and began speculating what caused them to suddenly flee their house. Was it something in the water they were drinking? Was there chemicals on the farm that was screwing up their brain? Were they running from someone? Were they in debt? What was it that caused this strange sudden departure? Back in Goulburn, after reporting their parents missing, Rihanna and Ella inexplicably separated at a gas station. Rihanna just climbed in the back of some utility truck, and Ella hopped in the stolen vehicle and started driving home. Later that night, Ella would become the first Trump family member to be located by police when she arrived at the farm and police were waiting for her there. Mitchell would arrive back home the following morning after taking a series of trains to get there. Once Mitchell and Ella were reunited, they made a home. Later that night, Ella would become the first Trump family member to be located by police when she arrived at the farm and police were waiting for her there. Mitchell would arrive back home the following morning after taking a series of trains to get there. Once Mitchell and Ella were reunited, they made a statement to the media outside of the family farm, and as you're looking at them, it's clear they're totally shell-shocked. They don't know what's happened, and they're trying to articulate why their family left in the first place and what they were doing and where they're going, and the best they could do was to say, well, there was a lot of pressure on our family and it was building up, and these things are just difficult to explain, and I don't really know what we were doing. Mitchell would say that there was a belief that people were after them, there was some paranoia there, but that paranoia was predominantly held by their parents. While Mitchell and Ella were certainly in a state of shock, they did seem mentally stable. The same could not be said for their sister, Rihanna. She was discovered by the driver of the truck she had snuck into after he had driven over an hour away. He had pulled over to check on something. He had gone around the back and then had the life scared out of him when he saw Rihanna just sitting there in a what he called catatonic state. She didn't know her name. She didn't know where she was just sitting there. Rihanna was taken to the Goulburn Hospital where she was put into their psychiatric unit. As media interest grew, the parents, Mark and Kobe, got back in their car up at the Genelin Caves and drove south towards Melbourne. A day later, on Wednesday, the pair had driven 600 kilometers to the Victorian town of Wangaratta, where they too inexplicably separated. Kobe turned around and started heading north.
What is up?
This shit just don't make sense, bro. What the hell?
I guess.
What is going on?
Facts. That's the big question.
All y'all acting
Strange.
and to be honest, it don't seem like nobody after y'all. It seems like possibly y'all was, I don't know. Let me not assume. Let me just go.
By means which are still a mystery, and a day later was found 350 kilometers away in the town of Yas in a very agitated state. She was taken to a hospital there, but then transferred to the Goulburn psychiatric unit to be with her daughter, Rihanna. Mark stayed in Wangaratta, and he was there for several days, and during his time there, he was spotted by a young couple really aggressively tailgating them, and then he was spotted again on another day fleeing from the car he had been driving. Finally, on Saturday evening, all of the Trump family members were accounted for when Mark was finally discovered sitting next to the road near the Wangaratta airport. He was questioned by police and then assessed by a mental health officer and then was released into the custody of his brother, who was a police officer. And as they drove away, Mark turned around and flipped off the photographers that had converged on the spot. He later released a more contrite statement apologizing for the hurt and concern that were caused by these events, and he also paid respect to the police and the volunteers that went out looking for them. After the investigation, the police determined that nobody was chasing this family. They were not in any danger. The family had also not taken any drugs. They were not in debt. They were not involved in any sort of religious cult. And prior to this strange event, the family had no history of mental health issues. After the dust had settled and the Trump family was just back at their farm going about their normal life, every media outlet wanted an interview with them to try to learn more about why this strange thing happened. But the family said, we're not doing interviews, we're not putting out any more statements, we just want to be left alone. And so as a result, all people could do was theorize. And the leading theory was that the Trump family was suffering from something called folie à deux, which is a French term that means madness for two. And what happens is one person who is delusional can pass that delusion on to other people. And this typically only happens in very close-knit families or in very tight romantic relationships. While it's unclear which of the Trumps became psychotic first, doctors say it is clear at some point they were in a cycle of reinforcing each other's delusions if this folie à deux theory is the right one. While the full reasons for why the Trumps went on this strange voyage will probably never be known, the police deemed it a family matter and did not press charges.
But you want me to tell you what the mysterious thing is? Whatever they were, that got me like what? Is the fact that y'all flee, whatever, y'all was going to do something. And whatever y'all was headed to go do, Mitchell hopped out. And he was like, he ain't want no parts. But y'all rest of y'all, and he left walking, and y'all let him be. And then next thing you know, y'all get to wherever y'all was supposed to go to. Now the daughters, they changed their mind back out of whatever y'all, like where were y'all going to do? Can nobody attest to where y'all was headed to? Ain't no way y'all was just driving. You get what I'm saying? Y'all was headed to somewhere to go do something. I think at the end of the day, whatever y'all had planned, y'all decided as a pact not to let anybody know.
I really don't have nothing because I'm like,
you just in disbelief or in awe or just confused.
I'm just like, I'm confused. No, I'm confused. I'm like,
it's a confusing situation.
And my only thing, I'm like, good thing everyone made it back home safe. You know what I'm saying?
Well, being in a psych ward for a couple.
I'm saying like your life. You know, you still have life.
You might be f***ed up for the rest of you. You never know what that could do.
Well, yeah, but y'all still have your life because I'm like in my head, I'm like some go end up, you know. But luckily, nothing like that happened.
This is a very weird situation. This happened back in 2016, so I wonder where they are at now. This been how long ago was this? For us now, for 7 years ago. So, what could y'all possibly be up to now?
Yeah.
You know, like did people they all keep an eye on them, kind of pay attention to their lifestyle? Did anything change? Did anything sway? Or did y'all like take their word for it, kind of gave them a space and say, hey, we'll later on keep an eye on them or come back and just reinvestigate them, see if their story changed or anything? You get what I mean? Like on that type of time, or because me, I'll be like, hey, let's keep an eye on them just for a little while, probably not every day, just to see if any routines change.
Yeah. Because
even though that's money,
see how their behavior is, how they're acting.
Yeah. Or see if anyone because you don't just.
Because my thing is what?
It was a case that happened like that. What was it in Australia where the family just packed up and dipped out of nowhere, and then they were all found dead out in the woods or something? I forgot, and it was like the little girl and the husband and wife, and you remember that? Damn, I can't remember exactly. But I know what case I'm talking about because they were even caught on camera with it and everything. Yeah. And they just packed up. They had money and everything. They took out some cash money. It was a lot of money. They just bounced. And never to be heard from ever again.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And then they found their car somewhere, and they were like, but it wasn't. It was like, how could y'all have been? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I forgot what story.
The only thing that I can think of is like, maybe one was like had some type of paranoia or whatever, or delusion about something, and possibly it could be like you freaking everybody else out. So like after you keep like and
you can convince.
What I'm saying? I'm like, okay, well let's do what we gotta do.
Because wherever they live, it does look like wherever they was at was secluded. Yeah. They all probably did live together they were probably a very small knit type family. And when you got a small knit type family like that, a lot of people can easily be brainwashed. Yeah, it's because they socialize with anybody else outside of them. If they only socialize with themselves, then that's a problem. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it could be that.
That's the only thing I could think of. That's their conclusion as well. Well, supposedly maybe that's the only thing they can kind of come up with. Speculation.
Bizarre and very vague.
Like random.
Some very random. And then all y'all just abandon each other. It's just like it was a rat race.
Right. Like if I want to split up, if we be like, okay, we ain't doing whatever our parents let them go and do whatever.
We're not splitting up again.
I'm gonna still stick with my siblings.
And then Mitchell just hop out. And he like, I bet I can meet y'all back home.
Mitchell wasn't even in the beginning. He brought his phone. He was like, no, y'all do what y'all want, but I ain't even.
And then Mitchell was like, shit, I'm going to strike out walking. All right, we're going to see if you can make it back on your feet. Then the two girls, all right, we got further. All right, we're going to see if we can make it. We're going to go steal a car, and we're going to. Bitch, it's your car. Ella, it was your car. They were driving your car. That was a mom and dad's car. And then now, all right, so mom and dad like, all right, since the kid's gone now, we're going to try to see if we can get back home. All right, see if we can beat the kids. Well, shit, we got to split up because one of us got to beat the kids first. And we'll make it faster if we split up. It sounds like a rat race type shit. Have do y'all remember the movie Rat Race? We watched it just not too, like probably a year ago.
Who?
We did. I put it on. I ain't know if I was asleep, but Cuba Gooding Jr., Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
The dude, he got Hitler's car. He was driving Hitler's car.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, it's hard. Like, if you haven't seen Rat Race, go see it. And you racing to this destination, but y'all have nothing. You just got to figure out how to get there. So,
yeah, I got you.
Right.
But I just doubt that. I hope that's not what y'all was doing.
Could have been.
That's weird.
Could have been adventurous. Hey, some people do some random shit around this mug, bro.
But then that doesn't explain the daughter's behavior. As far as
she hopped up in the car. She was trying to, and then they split up trying to beat.
I'm talking about the one that hopped in the back of the truck.
Yeah, they split up to say, hey, we got to beat. You know what I'm saying? We trying to
Maybe she was freaking out. She was freaking out because she was like, dang, I ain't gonna make it.
Or no, dang, I got caught trying to hit your ride.
I don't know, child.
Because at the end, they probably was in teams.
I'm not going with that, but that's cute. But
it could be.
I mean, you never know.
Could have been just a rat race.
Just weird.
People, bruh, quit acting like y'all ain't never came across that weird ass family.
That's what I'm saying. It's
like,
random
that's a
and weird
family
so
right there.
Anything is
Everybody
up in the
knows.
air.
Yeah, true.
In 2007, 35-year-old Eva Wisniewska was a member of the German national paragliding team. Over the previous 2 years, Eva had competed in 10 of the world's biggest paragliding competitions, and she had won 6 of them, making her the top female paraglider in the world. So coming into that year, Eva was very motivated to work extra hard to make sure she retained that title as world champion. On February 24th of that year, Eva was preparing her gear alongside 200 other paragliders on Mount Bora in New South Wales, Australia. This was Eva's last training opportunity before her first major competition of that year, which was scheduled for the next week. As they were getting ready to launch, one of the coaches walked in front of the group and made an announcement. He said storm clouds had been spotted to the north, but the forecast was a little bit ambiguous. It wasn't clear if the storm was going to move over their training area or not. So it was up to each of the paragliders if they still wanted to launch that day and risk the bad weather. Eva, who was really eager to get this training flight in, looked at the sky and saw that it was pretty gray, but decided that she was going to do it. Worst case scenario, she would have to cut it short. The rest of the German national team, they didn't want to take the risk, and so they stayed grounded that day. Eva took a little bit longer preparing her gear, so by the time she was lining up on the cliff, she was only one of a handful of people that remained. And so strapped into her glider, she took a good run forward and launched herself up into the air. On the ground, the rest of the German national team followed in a van to track her progress and checked in with her from time to time with their radio. The first part of Eva's journey was incredibly calm. She followed the ridgeline from Mount Bora for 12 miles until it ended. At that point, she entered into the skies over the vast savanna. As her GPS and tracking log ticked, tracking her progress, 2 large thunderstorm clouds appeared in front of her, one larger than the other. The vast majority of the other paragliders that had launched that day had launched ahead of Eva, and so when these clouds appeared, they had already passed that section, and so they didn't need to contend with the storm. As for Eva and the other 2 people she was with, which was an Austrian team member and a Chinese team member, they had a decision to make. They could either immediately ground their flight to avoid the storm, or they could attempt to dodge it. They chose the latter. They knew it was too dangerous to try to fly underneath these clouds because of something called updraft. At the beginning of storms, warm air is sucked up from the ground up into these clouds, and a paraglider, if they get caught in that, can get sucked up with the air into the storm. And so Eva and the other 2 paragliders began aggressively flying around the outside of these clouds when all of a sudden the storm completely changed. The big cloud overtook the small cloud, creating this 12-mile wide cumulonimbus cloud that now all 3 paragliders were stuck inside of. Any updraft is dangerous to a paraglider, but the updraft of a cumulonimbus cloud is famously dangerous. because it's extremely powerful and it lasts for over an hour. The Austrian man was able to pull down on one toggle, point his feet, and begin spiraling all the way out of the grasp of this updraft. And he said he turned to look at the other two, and he didn't see the Chinese man, but he did see Ava, and she was desperately trying to do what he was doing and spiral down, but she was clearly caught in the updraft, and he watched her get pulled up into the black cloud out of view. By the time the Austrian man hit the ground, he would say it had become the worst thunderstorm he had ever seen, with huge hail balls hitting the ground all around him. He took one more look up, and he didn't see the Chinese man, he didn't see Ava anywhere, and he took off running for a barn to seek shelter. And when he was there, he pulled out his radio and he alerted the other teams of this emergency. Inside the cloud, Ava was hurtling up like a rocket. The storm was lifting her at a rate of 60 feet per second. There was nothing she could do to get out of this wind tunnel. Ava knew she was getting pulled towards the storm's eye in its vicious center because of the immense claps of thunder that just kept getting louder and louder, and it also kept getting darker and darker all around her. In fact, it was pitch black except for the occasional flash of lightning that came very close to electrocuting her. As she desperately tried to keep her glider stable, she was able to place a radio call down to her team on the ground, but all she could say was, "I can't see anything," before it cut out. And at some point, Ava reached the eye of the storm where it's pitch black and the temperatures are freezing and hail balls the size of oranges are pelting her left and right. And the updraft kept pulling her higher and higher and higher until she passed out from a lack of oxygen. And at some point, this updraft actually shot her up and out of the cloud. And while this meant she was out of the storm, she was now in air that was 50 degrees below zero, which meant everything, her face, her gloves, her clothes, the wings of her glider, everything completely froze. And to make matters worse, at the altitude she was at, there was almost no oxygen and she did not have a breathing apparatus. So by all accounts, Ava should be dead. But somehow, she didn't die. She just kept floating around above this storm cloud for 45 minutes.
Wow.
Hell no.
Wow. Wow.
What the See.
Yeah.
Hell. For 45 minutes.
45
below freezing.
minutes.
50 degrees below freezing. Hell no. That is crazy.
So by all accounts, Ava should be dead. But somehow, she didn't die. She just kept floating around above this storm cloud for 45 minutes. And then something happened. The ice on one side of the glider broke off, causing it to collapse, throwing her into a deadly free fall, and she's not in control, she's still unconscious, and she starts barreling back towards the ground like gravity has been turned back on again, going straight through the storm all over again. And so through the storm, going at 90 feet per second, she clears the storm, and then right after getting out from underneath it, her glider miraculously just opens back up again. And the jerking motion of her suddenly stopping her free fall jolted her awake. And so she's looking around, totally confused as she's gradually regaining consciousness, and she's taking stock of where she is, and she's still in the storm cloud, but right at the bottom of it. But luckily, the updraft had stopped. And so she was steady, and she was able to reach up and grab her toggles, and she was able to fly herself down to the ground and crash land. And then she curled into a ball, grabbed her radio, and she called her team. When they heard her voice, they could not believe she was alive, because the other paraglider that got sucked up by the updraft, the guy from the Chinese national team, he unfortunately was struck by lightning and was killed. And so they were anticipating finding out that Ava had been struck by lightning as well. But Ava had not just survived. When they brought her to the hospital, they discovered that virtually nothing was wrong with her. She had some pretty bad bruises and cuts from the hail, and she had a little bit of frostbite on her face, but it was treatable. And so the same day she was brought in, they discharged her. After leaving the hospital, she and her teammates went back to the launch site so she could collect her gear. And when they got there, she looked at her GPS, and the GPS had been tracking her entire flight the entire time she was up in that cloud. And she showed her teammates what it said, and they literally couldn't believe it. The screen showed she had reached an altitude of 32,634 feet, which, to put this in perspective, is the same altitude you fly at inside of a commercial jet. So imagine being outside of your plane in the middle of a flight, and that's how high she was. Another reference point is she was approximately 4,000 feet higher than the summit of Mount Everest. No human being had ever been that high, unprotected, and lived to tell the tale. Until Ava. So that's going to do it, guys. If you found the secret in today's episode, let us know what it is in the comments and where you found it. So give us the...
You believe that story true?
Yeah, I'm gonna believe it's true.
Man,
I
that
have
story
nothing
sounds
else.
so fake.
I have nothing.
I was just playing.
I have nothing else. Like,
But it do sound like a fake story.
like things like this, like
so bizarre, bro.
so bizarre. And you like, there's no way.
And the Austrian
There's
man,
no
I know
way.
he's happy, bro. He's like, bro, that could have been.
Unfortunately, you know.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
one of them lost their life.
yeah.
But my goodness,
Ooh.
my God, like what?
Can't believe it. See,
That's crazy.
I cannot believe.
I just knew. I was like, oh, she gone.
You thought? Oh,
I did at first. I was like, wow. I was like, she gone.
Damn, bro.
Once
shout out to
once
her.
the first one had got out,
Yeah.
and then they got stuck, I was like, oh, but yeah.
That's great. That's a
is
wild situation, man. All these are wild, but that was wild for real,
Yeah, most
man.
definitely.
Hey, man. Crazy stories, man. Crazy stories. Everybody in this situation. The second story, the second story, I think that family was up to some other shit. And I'm going to stand beside.
So you think they was playing the game?
No, I don't know that. Rat race is a thing.
Yeah.
And it's a possibility.
Okay.
And I can stand on that, but I can also stand on just some bizarre stuff was going on with them, and I think they should have been investigated
A little bit more.
For a long time. I'm talking about up until, you know what I'm saying, we was on pandemic time, and we were like, damn, we ain't got no other choice but to lay off their ass.
Yeah.
But other than that, y'all should have watched them for a long time, because I think they were up to something. Now, Mike, hey, shout out to him for him getting himself together. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely. Shout out to him.
Because a lot of people would have looked at that as an opportunity to, oh shit, I got away.
I'm about to go out here and
do something else.
Be even worse.
He took it as an opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
And sometimes people need that opportunity for growth. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because somebody do something like that, but you don't really know what they're going through. So some people, they do stuff out of desperation, not because that's what they want to do. So I don't know.
That's their true character.
Yeah. So I don't know what type of man he was at the time, or what he was going through at the time. I just know you can't fault everybody for one decision that they make. I've seen people do a couple things, and it's just because of the environment. But once they get out of the situation, they begin to be a different person, because some people really do get sucked into their environment. Ava, bless.
That's all you can say.
One word. That's all you need to say.
That's all you need to say.
Bless and highly favored. Hey, man, with that being said, make sure y'all spam us up in the comments,
Most
man.
Definitely.
Y'all let us know y'all thoughts and opinions about this one in the comment section down below. But as always, I do go by the name DJ. This is
New York.
Yeah.
Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar.